on this to get a game.
Got him at distance. It's good!
It's Arena Bowl 19, Las Vegas. And he knocks that one through. Clay Rush led the league in touchbacks. Jackson spinning away for a moment. And it's good. The excellence of Rush, his kicker. He's been going to the field goal more often than normal in preseason. Rush is kicked. The point. And it's good.
How do you play this final 52 seconds?
Well, right here, we're going to try to go onside kick. If we get it back, we'll try to get the last possession a half. We don't, give them a short field, try to leave enough time to get another possession.
Okay, Tom?
Oh, Mike Daly with that strategy call. Record regular season. And Clay Rush, he had a passing touchdown, came within 48 seconds of setting the Arena Bowl record. They went through the first half in Arena Bowl 3 without 26 yards, and it is good for its first title. The two teams that didn't meet in the regular season scoring off in Arena Bowl 19. Rush with the kick off the net. His fourth touchdown of the game. The first three came on the ground. Extra point, Clay Rush, good.
From the sideline.
As you pointed out, he scrambles effectively, maybe better than anybody in the league.
Indeed.
Rush buries the kickoff.
You can play it a couple different ways because he has such a good kicker.
Look at the owners side by side. Of course, they're NFL ties as well.
And Clay Rush is going to have a chance to win that Arena Bowl 19.
So that was a design play. Dutton letting the time tick away, then throwing it into the stands, leaving only enough time, 3 seconds, for Clay Rush to possibly kick the game winner. Rush has made field goals of 20 and 26 yards, missed from 41. This one will be from 20 yards to win the Arena Bowl.
When I think about football when I was playing, I like the challenges that it presented itself. You had to be physically fit, you had to be mentally fit. What's unique about arena football, I miss the fans. It's a close-knit group. We consider us as a family. I've had over 30 procedures done with the head and neck. I've been on 90 different medications. I don't know what it's like not to have a headache. A lot of people will ask, well, how bad is it? And probably the best thing is like just eating ice cream and you get that brain freeze. It's all the time.
Today, the Insider Exclusive goes behind the headlines in football head injuries, Clay Rush's story, to examine how Steven Shapiro successfully settled a multi-million-dollar case on behalf of one of America's greatest football kickers, Clay Rush. Clay Rush was a kicker for the Colorado Crush in the Arena Football League in 2008 when he sustained a series of hits to the head over several games. Hits that were mishandled by a team physician, an employee of Health One Clinic Services. Clay had a passion for the game and had had a long and successful history with football and the AFL. He was Kicker of the Year in 2000 and 2003 and All-Arena First Team. In 2001, he had the league record of 110 extra points made. On April 4th, 2008, Clay sustained his first concussion while playing at the Pepsi Center in Denver, Colorado against the Los Angeles Avengers. Clay felt dazed and unbalanced but was able to finish the game. He played the next game on April 11, 2008 against the Cleveland Gladiators. And on April 19, 2008, he played against the Kansas City Brigade and he was hit again, suffering his second concussion in 2 weeks. Clay does not remember what happened immediately after the hit and may have blacked out. It was not until April 21st, 2008 that Clay saw the team physician who briefly evaluated him and instructed him to take Tylenol and rest as needed. Clay rested during the week and never physically exerted himself. He continued to experience post-concussion symptoms such as nausea, dizziness, insomnia, lightheadedness, and blurred vision. The team physician cleared Clay to play in the April 25, 2008 game in Denver against the Chicago Rush without performing a follow-up evaluation or testing. However, Clay was never advised of the symptoms to look for or made aware of the risk of returning to play too soon following a concussion. The team physician did not follow any of the medical standards for clearing Clay to play following a concussion, including making sure that Clay's symptoms were gone and did not come back after exertion. Rather, the team physician stated that since Clay was just a kicker and not in every play, he could be watched throughout the entire game. That night, Clay played his last football game against the Chicago Rush. He was not hit again. However, he continued to have the same post-concussion symptoms when he exerted himself, which resulted in permanent injuries. Clay now suffers from a traumatic brain injury and is unemployed. He lives with severe headaches, hypersensitivity to his environment, visual issues, dizziness, balance issues, and signs of decreased cognitive abilities. If Clay's concussion had been managed properly by medical personnel, he would have healed with no lasting symptoms. He could have enjoyed life with his wife and his 2 daughters. Instead, he lives his days in pain. His life has changed dramatically. His life has changed drastically from football stud and family man to a man who struggles with a brain injury every single day. Clay's lawyer, Steve Shapiro, has built his reputation based on aggressive and creative trial work. He has obtained numerous 6- and 7-figure verdicts and settlements for clients who have been involved in traumatic situations which have altered their lives physically, mentally, and financially. And it has earned him the highest respect from citizens and lawyers alike as one of the best trial lawyers in Colorado and in the nation. He has seen many innocent and hardworking people suffer needless injury, and because of that, he is driven to help people who have been harmed by the negligent actions of others. His goal, not only to get justice for Clay, but to make sure that all athletes in all sports play in the safest environments possible. This is the Insider Exclusive, live from Denver, Colorado. It's my great pleasure to introduce Steve Shapiro to the show. Welcome to the show, Steve.
Thank you, Steve.
Tell our audience a little bit about your firm, the type of practice that your firm does.
We specialize in brain injury work. Mm-hmm. And we've also developed an even further subspecialty in sports concussion return to play decisions. Mm-hmm. This has become very active in light of finally the research and the publicity surrounding the National Football League, soccer, with the decisions that put athletes back on the field. And finally, in allowing the world to understand how significant a concussion is, and that in fact a concussion is traumatic brain injury.
Today we're going to be discussing a rather unique case, the case of Clay Rush, mm-hmm. who played in the Arena Football League.
Yes, he did.
And I might add that there are many lawsuits pending now against the NFL and a variety of other places, insurance companies, etc. But this is one of 2 cases that has been successfully settled against a football league, correct?
This was against a hospital, a doctor, correct.
That was basically the doctor to the team, the physician.
He was the team doctor, correct.
Tell our audience a little bit about who Clay is.
It's a pleasure. Clay Rush was the type of person, and is the type of person, that you'd want, he's the kind of guy you'd want your daughter to bring home. Small college football player, played in small colleges as a kicker, was a soccer player as a kid growing up. He is a man who truly is a man of his word, a man of character, a man of integrity. Got every bit of talent out of himself by hard work, dedication, and just 120% effort always. Family man with 2 daughters, wonderful wife, worked hard to get where he got to. Went to some NFL camps, Arena Football League, very successful in the Arena Football League. 2-time kicker of the year, Just a great athlete. Worked hard, mentored young kickers. This is a great man.
What happened to Clay?
He had 2 concussions within a 15-day period. The first one was fairly minor. He finished the game. He was evaluated very briefly and then played another week. Didn't have any issues. Then had another substantial concussion when there was a botched snap. He dove head on into the pile and took a knee to his head. When he took the knee to his head, he was knocked semi-conscious, semi-unconscious, was wobbling around, somehow managed to get off the field, and they took his helmet away and wouldn't let him play again. He then got evaluated, but the reality was he never was fully evaluated by the appropriate standard of care that was in existence at the time.
Why do you think that's the case?
In that particular situation, I think they have limited players, limited resources, and the words that I heard during the depositions were, he's just a kicker.
Right.
We can watch him. We don't have to worry about him every play being hit.
Yeah, that's amazing, because even though they were aware and could see that he had suffered a head injury, it didn't matter whether he was a kicker or a water boy. He had suffered a head injury.
Well, it's very true, because whenever you exert yourself, physically or mentally, after you've had a concussion, you end up making things worse, because you have, with a concussion, a biochemical cascade of action in your brain. And until that biochemical reaction is done, and that head is to the point of where it's recovered so that you can exert again, you don't exert yourself physically or mentally. You don't go to class if you're a student, and you certainly don't try to go play a professional football game.
Right. Now, there are thousands of cases that are currently pending against, like, the NFL and other organizations for head concussions and that sort of thing. You settled this case successfully. Are you allowed to say how much you settled it for?
No, it's confidential.
Okay,
No.
but it was a very significant settlement.
It was good.
My question to you is, what were some of the challenges in prosecuting a case like this, and how did you settle it so successfully?
You know, people still look at concussions and don't think that they're serious. So they try to illustrate that these issues are not a concussion, that they're related to psychological issues, that they're related to neck issues. But the reality is it's a brain injury. I think the reason this case was successful was 2 witnesses in particular. Robert Cantu, Dr. Cantu from Concord, Massachusetts, who's one of the pioneers in sports concussion work, and Dr. David Hovda from UCLA. Those 2 have pioneered tremendous research in the area that basically points out what happens, why you shouldn't play, and what you have to wait for. There is a 4-step return to play protocol that has to be followed, 4 steps of exertion. And in between each step of exertion, you need to make sure there are no symptoms, no signs, no headaches, no visual issues, no cognitive issues. You need to make sure before you let somebody return to the play, because it isn't about, he didn't get hit in the last game. He didn't have another concussion. All he did was exert himself. And from that point forward, Clay has never been able to function again and will never work as long as he lives.
I'm curious, though, why did the insurance companies settle so quickly?
I think a lot of it was every week we're seeing publicity about this, and they were concerned. We also chose a jury in this case, and we had a number of jurors on the witness in the juror box
who knew him,
who sat there and, well, they knew him, yes, who sat there and looked at this situation and said, we know what team doctors do.
Right.
We know that these guys are pieces of meat.
Yeah.
And in this league in particular, I think that was a bigger part of it.
Yeah.
You know, the NFL treats their players, or treated their players like this for many, many years, and it's gotten better. The Arena Football League, you know, these are guys playing for very little money on concrete with carpeting over the field.
Well, we're glad that you settled it successfully, because as a result of cases like this, team doctors hopefully will improve their observation and treatment of players who are injured, right?
We all hope so.
Today we happen to have Clay with us, and we're going to bring him on here in a minute. So let's do that. It is my great pleasure to introduce Clay Rush to the show. Welcome to the show, Clay.
Thank you.
Take us back to your football days when, after you suffered your second concussion, when you first started realizing maybe something's wrong. What were you feeling? What was happening?
I think it's more of a feeling like you have the flu. You're dizzy.
All the time?
Yeah, it's all the time. It's you know, you're staying in the closet because you couldn't handle light.
And by the way, that's the reason you're wearing your sunglasses
Yes,
today, correct?
it's more of a pulsation off the fluorescent lights that bothers you.
And if you were to take your glasses off later on in the day and maybe the next successive days, you'd have more headaches?
Yes, it's just my headaches itself, we were trying to control them, but you know, with the doctors, but it's more to describe the pain. It's like eating ice cream and getting a brain freeze, and it's like that all the time, unless I go to my doctors and they help me with injections, and then also I'm not sure what radio frequency.
Radio frequency, denervation.
How are you doing today?
You always want to say you're doing good, but I struggle. I struggle a lot. I'm on a lot of medication. Sleep apnea really bad.
Yeah.
Waking up numerous times. A lot of times you walk and you get a sharp pain, like a knife just went in your head. And you try to be normal. That's the hardest thing. But you don't know what normal is.
What do you have to say to all the athletes out there? There's, Steve said, what, about 3,000 pending lawsuits for similar type injuries. What do you have to say to all the guys playing football today, or any kind of, you know, major contact sport that may have some head injuries? What do you have to say to them?
Well, obviously it's for a lot of athletes that don't have concussions, it's hard to explain, because it's like, if I don't have cancer and someone else has cancer, I can't feel their pain.
We have with us your wife that we're going to have also on the program, so let's bring her on right now. It's my great pleasure to introduce April Rush to the show. Welcome to the show, April.
Thank you.
Life has changed for you, hasn't it?
Oh, yes, it has.
When you discovered that he had suffered severe brain injury, what were the thoughts that were going through your mind then?
You know, my thoughts were that, well, he'll get better. He just needs time to rest, and he'll get better. And he was not getting better, and I was worried. Well, financially, you start to worry and think, well, I need to start looking for a job, and how are we going to take care of our family and our girls, and they were young at the time.
You hear a lot.
3 and 1, I think. So they were young, and thinking about having to maybe go back to work and put them in daycare, and so you start to worry.
You hear a lot of today about a lot of football players suing the NFL and a variety of other things for the same kind of thing, concussions and brain injuries. What do you have to say to the wives out there of some of these players, and how and where they should get help to help not only their husbands, but help their families, take care of their families?
I think the biggest thing for wives and for players is that they need to be educated. I think that the NFL and other leagues do very well at educating players about a lot of different things, but I think for so long, head injuries and concussions were not, the players were not educated.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank both of you for appearing on this show, because you're sending a message out to couples and players who are in the same predicament. Get the necessary medical help, get the right legal help, and thank you very much for spending time with us. What do you have to say to all the athletes out there who may suspect that they have a brain injury but are worried about not being able to play because there's kind of a macho thing, well, I can take the hit and I want to continue playing, and if I say I have a brain injury, I may be out of the league?
This is a different injury.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't anywhere near the type of injury like a knee or a shoulder. This is an injury that takes your life. It takes your ability to function. It takes your ability to enjoy your family.
Mm-hmm.
It takes away your ability to just do basic things during the day. If you look at some of the stories that have come out in Sports Illustrated recently, by one about Jim McMahon, he can't even remember who his girlfriend is.
Or Junior Seau.
Junior Seau, who we still don't know what the results are
Right.
regarding the MRI or the autopsy of his
Mhm.
brain. This is something that it's not about toughness.
Right.
This is about your brain controls everything in your body. You have to let it heal.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go back. This isn't about toughing it out. You can't tough this out. There's nothing you can do to tough out your
Right.
brain getting better.
This is a priority you need to deal with now, or you are going to have to deal with it later.
You're going to have a very poor life and a very short lifespan.
Well, we want to thank you for being on the program, and again, congratulations for the successful settlement of this case. We certainly hope there's other people out there. If they suspect they have a brain injury, they come to you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for joining us. You can get more information about our guest and the issues at insiderexclusive.com.